Today's topic is the hands-free blueprint. I got two different things we're going to talk about, just two, because today I wanted to go a little bit deeper.
I want to introduce to everyone again the amazing Allison Williams. So Allison, thank you so much for coming on the talk show again. And I'm super excited to talk about the hands-free law firm blueprint.
All right. I love it. I love it, guys. This is great. Thank you, Bill, for having me back. Thank you, Bill and Andy. You guys are phenomenal. Today's topic is the hands-free blueprint. I got two different things we're going to talk about, just two, because today I wanted to go a little bit deeper. So for those of you that are used to hearing me speak, this is usually a time where I spitball 5,000 different things that you can do. And you guys are like, hands are spinning and nails are clacking on chalkboard. But I don't want to do that today. Today, I want to go a little bit deeper into two strategies that I know are going to help you to create what you need to create in your law firm. And so with that, we're going to dive into just two delegation strategies that I want you guys to be focused on, okay? So the first thing is communications policy in your law firm. If you want a law firm that runs effectively without you, you have to have a policy for how your clients communicate. So I'm going to ask you guys in the chat right now, how many of you have a policy that when clients call the office, they ask for a lawyer and they're able to get a lawyer on the phone at the time that they call, right? You don't want to keep your clients waiting. You just get on the phone with them as soon as that happens. I love that there are some nopes and some no's and some not really in the chat, because that is the right answer. Okay. Here's the thing. If a client has already bought into you, they're bought into the fact that you have the ability to help them. That means you are the leader. If you are not acting as the leader in all things in your business, you are missing an opportunity to create a business that truly is hands-free, a business that runs without you. So we want you to be able to craft how clients communicate with you. So I'm going to give you some strategies for how to do that. Okay. So first up, you need to define what is an emergency for your law firm. Okay. Somebody calls with an emergency. They need to be able to get the right person on the phone right away. That probably is a lawyer, but not always, but they need to be able to have access to that professional. Okay. An emergency is not that your client has an emotional spasm and needs to talk to you. An emergency is not your client is in the mood to vent about how awful their life is, that they have a legal problem. An emergency is what you define it to be. That means there's something consequential that will happen if you or whomever is the right professional does not get involved. Okay, so you need to define for your clients in writing what is an emergency and who they should be contacting when they have that emergency. Okay, that means, again, if they call the office when something's wrong and they say, I've got emergency X, they need to know who they are asking for. They don't need to have the disappointment of saying, I've got an emergency. I'm supposed to be speaking to the owner of the law firm. And you say, no, you need to speak to the lead paralegal about that. And somebody gets pissed the F off. Okay, we don't want our clients pissed off. And the less you communicate about when they can contact and who, the more likely you are to piss them off. So you need to tell them what is an emergency, who to contact, and how they are going to communicate with you. The how is the one thing that we always leave out of communications policies. We say, you're going to call, you're going to speak to someone, but we don't tell them how. Okay. How is important because when we're talking about what we're going to tell our clients, we need to give them a firm expectation. If you're out to dinner with your family and you're going to get a hold of them because something's wrong, you might only be able to text them. You might only be able to get on the phone with them when you're running to the bathroom, right? You might only be able to get them by email to correspond with them about what's going on, but they need to know what the how is, okay? So you need to tell them that. All right, second thing you need to communicate is what is not an emergency. Now, this might seem counterintuitive. You might be thinking, hey, I just told you that an emergency is your child is on fire, your house is burned down, somebody has been abducted, you have just been beaten up by the paparazzi, or you have been a victim of the Tinder swindler. Whatever the emergency is, you probably think everything else is not an emergency. Sad thing is, that's not how people think. People will start to ex post facto your list of what is an emergency, and then they will tell you, oh yeah, this kind of fits into an emergency, right? You told me if I'm in jail that that's an emergency. Well, I'm not really in jail, but somebody called me and they threatened me, and then I'm going to go over and kill them next week. So that's going to constitute an emergency because I'm going to go to jail, right? People need to have it spelled out. What is not an emergency? And you need to be clear about what's not an emergency relative to what your clients tell you most often. So if you are a criminal defense attorney and someone considers it an emergency that you have a bail hearing next week and they may or may not have the money, that may or may not be an emergency according to you, right? If you want that to be one of those frequently annoying nuisances that clients bring to you that you don't constitute an emergency, put it in writing. Really important to put it in writing. And at some point, this policy is something you're going to go over with your clients. You're not just going to give them a sheet of paper and say, here, read our policies on emergency or not emergency. Whoever closes the client, whether it's a lawyer, paralegal, salesperson, doesn't matter. That person should go over this policy. All right, some more key components. Ongoing communications. How are they going to get communications on a regular basis, okay? How frequently are you going to communicate with them? You would be surprised how much less people will contact you when they know when they're going to hear from you again. Okay. You want to get fewer phone calls. You tell people every third Thursday of the month, you're going to hear from me, or every other Tuesday, you're going to hear from me, or the office is going to call you once every 3 weeks, right? It's on a schedule and preferably something that you're reminding them of. Okay. Who's going to initiate the communication? Do you let your clients call you, or do they have to initiate it through some type of portal? Like through your practice management software? When are you going to bill them? Okay. The frequency with which people get billed, that's definitely something that you want in your policy so they can be on the lookout for that. And who is to bill? Who is the person that's going to be billing for transactions? If the paralegal calls and gets the client on the phone and then hands off to the lawyer, is the paralegal going to bill for that transaction or the lawyer? Presumably it's going to be the lawyer, but your client may or may not know that. So the more information you give them about what to expect in this relationship, the better you manage the relationship. Now, we're going to move on to strategy number 2. Okay, attorney productivity must be delegated to the attorney. That means it needs to be the responsibility of the attorney to meet your productivity requirements. Notice I said the word requirements and not goals, okay? Goals are something that we aim for. Requirements keep our jobs, okay? Coming to work on time for most of us is a requirement of employment, right? Billing our clients, a requirement of employment. So you want to frame your relationship with your attorneys and your paralegals, any professional that's producing work for compensation in your law firm. It is a requirement, but those requirements need to be the responsibility of the person that is actually doing the work. That means you don't need a bean counter that is chasing behind people saying, why haven't you billed your hours today? You need to have that person be responsible for doing that work. So let's talk about how we're going to make that happen. Okay. What you see on the screen right now is what I refer to as an attorney productivity report. You can call this a report card. You can call it a data sheet. You can call it whatever you want. Just know that it has a purpose. The purpose of this sheet is to give people not only their expectation, but to give it to them in writing and to let them know how they are measuring up. So you're going to see a whole lot of numbers on the screen. We're going to talk through them one by one. Okay. You will see in the left column, hours budget. Okay. This is the expectation for what we ultimately have to produce. Okay. So if you have 1,600 billable hours required for the year, it is going to be 133.3 hours for the month. Okay. Now, below that, you see hours billed. How many hours did the person actually bill? If they billed what they were supposed to do, or they billed more, you should see a number below that tally per month in green. If they actually fell short, you should see the number in red. Okay, so this is going to be a way for your attorneys or your paralegals. You can also give this out to your paralegals, whoever is billing or producing work in your office. Okay, you can give this to them so that they can be tracking themselves. And you can update this either monthly or weekly or bi-weekly, whatever works. Now you'll see this particular form is monthly. So we've got January, February, and March. Now you'll notice the hours budget stays constant all the way across. However, the hours billed varies because we are ultimately going to change month to month what we bill. For those of you that want to get this by email, you can email me at info@lawfirmmentor.net, and I'm happy to send you a template of this, okay? Let's drop down to revenue budget. Revenue budget, collected dollars, okay? The budget, you'll notice there is a revenue budget, not just what they actually billed, but how many dollars and cents they are supposed to collect every single month. Now, if you do the math, .net, henrik.net, not .com, .net. Okay. So again, you'll see that there is a budget. The budget will also be consistent month to month. Okay. The budget month to month should be there so that people know how many dollars they are responsible for. People need to connect that the hours that they bill and the dollars that they pass along to a client that must come into the law firm are connected. This avoids what a lot of people will do, which is breathing on file, right? If I breathe on the file, I get to bill somebody. That is what we refer to as, pardon my French, unethical shit. Okay, we don't want unethical shit going on in our law firm. We have to be producing value. We want the exchange of value to be connected to the work that is passed along.